Welcome to Discerning News, where we bring you current stories from a bigger picture perspective. The purpose is to inspire clarity and enthusiasm for your unique journey. In a world that is so connected in so many ways these days, many of us feel very disconnected. So, in this episode of Spiritual Perspectives, Discerning News, we're going to hopefully clarify some ways that you can feel more connected to yourself. We exist in a highly intellectual world, and often the feeling part where your inner wisdom lies gets left out. There's a way to feel more in balance with all parts of yourself. This way is by accessing a spiritual bigger picture of who you are as a soul. Check out the link in the show notes to access a free video series created by the Wayshowers College to support your journey and moving through this game of life. Your intellect and feeling parts will love it. So I know the big story this week, which, it's out there for everybody, is the Putin-Trump connection in Alaska. Yeah. I say connection because kind of started that way, right?
That's right.
That I think is the ultimate, is what they're trying to do, is connect one another so we don't have any more war in Ukraine.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely sucked up all the oxygen for the news cycle. I mean, everything's gotten quiet because of that. I really like the fact that you're talking about the connection and disconnection. I was thinking about that, and when we were in the green room.
I love the green room.
Green room. I was thinking, okay, connection, disconnection. What the times I've had the sense of the greatest connection was when I was just totally in my feelings. And I could feel that oneness with the environment, with spirit, with the bigger picture, whatever you want to call that. And when I've had the most disconnection, like the stuff that was really in my bones disconnection, was when I confused my wants with my needs, whether it was a breakup, whether losing something in my business, or someone I thought, is going to pass on. All those things seemed to be when I was confusing my wants with my needs. Those are my greatest connections and disconnections.
Very interesting.
Very interesting, Tom. What about you? Connection, disconnect.
Well, lately I've been realizing that when I know what my needs are in a situation, right, and it kind of follows on that talk we did about self-interest, last week, right, where, I really tuned into, I have an opportunity with everything I'm involved with and all the people I'm involved with to tune into what my true feelings tell me are my need in that situation, or what am I there, why is that opportunity in my orbit, you might say. And I did that recently with one of my favorite opportunities, and I tuned into the true purpose of it. And by doing that, in fact, in this one opportunity, it's really just for camaraderie. And I noticed that I just somehow spiritually tied up some loose ends, like some loose end in terms of doubt, or thinking there was more to that opportunity than there really is.
Right.
But at the same time, I feel secure that that's all I need from that opportunity. And, so I was tuning into that. And what was interesting was, after I had done that, like it just took a moment to sort of tune into my true feelings, I participated in that, and I did better than I've ever done. I mean, I was really in tune with the people I was working with. I was covered in chills throughout the opportunity. And I thought, wow, now that I just have that one simple feeling clear, what is it? And what's striking me, as you shared, was, what is the need versus what is the want? And the opportunity I'm talking about is actually being a drummer in a country band, and there's a number of other drummers, and sometimes I wonder, I think we're really good, and the guy that leads it's a great performer, and what's really in it for me at this stage of my life, and really it's just, for that particular opportunity, it's just the camaraderie.
I was going to just say that, and maybe you've got a point of view on this. is that it's amazing how there's always something that doesn't want me to clarify what actually are my needs, right? It's like as if I were to clarify where my part is in this relationship, or where my part is in this business, or where my part is in this thing, that somehow I'm going to lose something, right? It's almost like, oh no, I want that person to be my perfect soulmate and to fulfill every single part of my life. But I don't want to find out if it is or isn't, because it may not live up to my idea.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing how there's something, it's an intellectual moray that, like, why am I not pinning this down? Because your point is like, then when I do find it out, I can go full on into that and I have a great time.
And I was relaxed as I experienced it. And, you know, just to clarify a little bit more on that before Teresa pipes in, is that, you know, instead of these grandiose intellectual concepts like, oh, we should be opening for a big act and we should be touring. And, you know, when really, if I tune into what my needs are there, it's just the fellowship, the camaraderie. But here's another key. I actually really need that. That's why it's there. It's not just, oh, why am I, you know, oh, I just really want this, so, you know, I'm doing it. It's actually a real need. And now I feel really secure with my involvement.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too, because we started with saying that, you know, the biggest story right now is the Putin and the Trump story. And that really is about connecting us together as, you know, as big nations. That way we can do some healing on the planet and hopefully stop the Ukraine war. Mm-hmm. So in recognizing that whenever there's something like that going on in the world and that bigger scale, because I mean, we're talking, you know, like the band and maybe relationships or whatever's going on in our own lives, it's again, that reflection, that mirror, but it's also a time to really dive in deeper into how am I being affected or influenced by what's going on. And so for myself, I've recognized throughout the years that I found there's been like key nuggets that have shown up at different times. And we have some really great, a book set. It's the link is down in the show notes, and it's a ebook, 3 books. And we're going to share a little bit from the books today too, to give more inspiration and to give a little more insight into how to get clarity for yourself and feel more connected.
That sounds great.
And go ahead and begin. I was going to share one more thing on the as you're pulling up the section we're going to read on. That energy that you brought up about connection and disconnection related to the story, I just was regrouping. It's like that there is an energy there that wasn't there before. When I look at those situations, and I try to look at those situations unbiased, right?
You're talking about the Trump
Putin thing, the thing in the war. Trying to get some kind of ceasefire, trying to get some agreement. And when there is a decision, when the energy of decision, that's like, to me, decision is a spiritual word. It's for all time. So I can make a decision about something and it has this echo that goes way out there, right? And so there's something about that there's these decision being made. And now that that's in place, that's what provides the connection. It's if I don't, in my life, how am I going to bring this to me, right? If I'm not clear about my decisions and I don't make those decisions, how often have I gone around and know what the decision is, but I don't make it. I don't take it. I don't do it, because it would mean that I got committed. Right? I got to go down that path. But the moment I do, or what I'm sensing happening here, is that there's been a decision made in this case. And there is consequences for not following through, and there are consequences for following through. But there's a decision that has clarified things. And I think that's what stands out to me and what is allowing more of a connection. And so that's the one thing I wanted to bring up before we moved on, that the energy of decision in contrast to knowing what to do, but I don't do it.
Yeah, I think for myself, that's shown up many times. And I recognize that decision making with, especially like where I'm at now in my job, it's like most people are like, well, why are you going back into that? And that also stems back to the needs. So what in my life right now am I needing to fulfill and to gather new insights before I move to the next step? So every decision that I make and the energy behind that decision really backs what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing too, because like when you look at both of the men, Putin and Trump, and even Putin said something, the fact that, in the last few years when Trump wasn't in, that, there was no connection.
Right.
That with the previous administration, there was no connection there. And the times he tried to make connection, they just kind of, it just didn't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. So in recognizing that positive energy or the energy of that decision energy that comes in, it can play a really key part in what we're trying to really get across and what we're trying to move forward with in the next steps.
So the section that I tuned into before the program in the green room today comes from one of the little booklets that we offer, or one of the books we offer, and it's under a chapter called Using Your Time Wisely. And I'll just read the quote that comes with it that stimulates some sharing. You give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. And that's from Khalil Gibran. Did I say that right?
Khalil, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump to the third paragraph, but I'll start with the first sentence. One of your spiritual needs is to pass on your wisdom. If you do not, you will become spiritually constipated and unable to learn new lessons. And the one who truly helps you meet your needs is the person who sees the need that you have and the needs you are going to have. He then shares these needs with you for your own benefit. Should you decide you do not want to listen, he will leave you alone and permit you to make your own mistakes.
Now, something like that.
That's
Trump
right.
did that, right?
That's right. That's the so that's my point about the decision, right? I'm glad you brought that up because to me that's that energy of like, okay, I know where I begin and end. This is not an advertisement for Trump, by the way. Yeah. I'm just using this for something for my own life. If I'm clear about where I begin and end, then all of a sudden I stop trying to control the world out there.
Yeah.
I stopped getting out of my business and getting into everybody else's business. I stay in my business. How often have I done that because I'm worried, I'm afraid? That's nonsense. I can only do what I can do from this position here in myself, in the present. That's all I can do. Everything else is an illusion and just causes nothing but emotional damage,
Yeah. And we'll share that impression that you had about how Trump just made a decision and he was going to let it go. And how did you put that before then?
Well, the feeling is that once that decision's made, then that clarity and that connection can start happening, right? Because once, okay, here are the facts, right? Here are the facts. This is where I begin and end. I know what the consequences are if I do this. This is the consequences if you do that. And now I let it go.
And what was interesting was in an interview of Trump yesterday evening, right afterwards, he said, I'm not going to, words to the effect of, I'm not going to spend waste a lot of time and money on this. I've set the framework. These are my words, but this is basically what he said. And it's really up to Zelensky and Putin to clarify it. And it really had this feeling like, the funny thing about this, folks, is Tiger didn't know that's what Trump said in the interview that he had afterwards with Hannity. And he said, I'm going to let it go and let them, do their thing and move on to the next thing. So we were picking up on that, prior. And what I hear you saying is there's wisdom in that approach, so.
Well, I think it's back to the decision making,
yes,
and that energy of decision making. So Trump, whether you love him or not love him, he is a good role model of I'm just making a decision, I'm going with it. Now, sometimes he says weird shit, right? So,
Right.
or off the key, he goes off the rails, but hey, that's just who he is and that's his personality and whatever he brings into it. But in recognizing as a role model or someone that's stepping up and saying, okay, look, the decision is I'm going to meet with Putin. I'm going to then try to organize it where these two get together and say, hey, it's over. It's done. And whatever happens, happens. So I know for myself, the people that I understand that don't like Trump, they also have issues with their making own decisions of their own inner pivot. And so I think back to times in my life when I've made decisions that others didn't understand, but I was really strong on this is the way I need to go, or this is a decision I need to make. So I just see this again as a moment in time where we're all given an opportunity to look inside of ourselves and recognize, where am I strong with making my own decisions? Where am I strong with that energy of that's being backed by spirit, by a bigger picture, by the universe of this is the way that you can go if you make this decision in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
And that there's always a bigger picture too. That's the other thing that strikes me about it is that you could say that he's got other things to work on. And so he's not going to over expend his time in an area if those guys aren't ready to make peace, Zelensky and Putin. He's only going to do so much, but he's offering a bigger picture of bigger success for everyone is, my take on it.
Well, it's bringing forth his wisdom. I mean, he's brought forth what he needs to do for it. Now it's your guys's.
Yeah.
That's what I get a sense.
I mean,
because it's all just an opportunity, even for Trump. He's not going to bring his house or his stocks with him. When he passes on, he's not going to bring Mar-a-Lago with him. He's just going to go rise to the level of consciousness he's attained.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, I always do my best to take the
same with Putin, really.
There's an old thing about is it the man or the message, right? Is it the individual or the actual lesson? And so for myself, I try to do my best to separate those out. Because otherwise, I'm going to look for a black hat and a white hat.
Right.
Right. I'm looking for the bad guy and the good guy. This one's holy and this one's evil. And that retards my growth. It retards my discernment. Right. That's your intuitive gift, your discernment. And when I'm caught up in my ideas, I cannot discern clearly. So I have, like, at a personal level, I have a lot of, criticisms for every single one of those people that are in those roles. I mean, I have my gift and my discernment. So I can see past what other people see. So I can see all the dirt underneath the fingernails, and things like that. So, but what I try to do is just separate out what is really going on from the people themselves, right? So it's kind of like saying, am I able to discern the difference between the habit that person has and playing out, and then the actual person, the soul, right? Having that clarity and that distinction. And I can fall short on it, right? I can get in my own personality and stuff. And one of the keys is that I've been regrouping since you brought up the connection and disconnection is that when I feel something that's needed or positive around me, my true feelings, my inner, is going to be drawn to that, especially if it's something for me. It has a benefit to me. But yet my maze, my programming, my personality, or the egocentric part has this pattern that wants to play itself out. And sometimes that's in contrast. This is going one way in this lane, and then my true feeling is going one way, and then my intellect or that pattern of energy, that habit, wants to go a different way, and that causes that turmoil in me and around me. And so, like with this thing with the whole Russia and the Ukraine and now America involved, it's kind of like, here's a solution, and the feeling behind it is like, this is a good solution, right? I don't know. No one knows all the details,
Right.
but it's like that you can tell there's a feeling behind it, at least for me, that there's a solution here. This is a positive thing.
Yeah.
But then watch how the people want to play out their little maze, right?
Right.
And it's like taking the damn long road. I'm sorry for cursing for effect here, but it's like taking the damn long road to get someplace you're going to go anyway.
Well said.
And how do I do that sometimes? I can think of times in my life when it's like I knew what to do, but then I just went and followed out this little thing to do, and I end up in the same place anyway.
Just took you maybe longer, a little harder, a little.
Exactly. Anyway, it's just that sense that I have a true feeling about something, and yet I will be led astray by all the programming and the intellectual babble, rather than that whole energy we talk about of that feel, think, act. It's like, what do I feel? What's that trueness? Now, instead of me having big thinking about it, how do I organize what I'm feeling so I can be successful? Because that's the job of my intellect. Anyway, that was just something that...
One way is balancing your physical and what is it called?
Yeah.
Balancing your physical.
Balancing your physical and spiritual worlds. So this one's actually, it's got a quote to it, and it's, I was attracted to it. The quote is, "Never tell people how to do things. Tell them what to do, and they will surprise you with their ingenuity." And the first little couple sentences here. "When you set goals for yourself, there are certain steps which must be taken in the physical world to reach your goal. If you try to do everything yourself, it not only takes longer, but deprives you of the opportunity of being involved with others."
And that's again from Balancing Your Physical and Spiritual World, which is a book set, an ebook set you can find down in the links below.
Yeah.
What you want to share about that, Tom?
Well, so true. So true. Did you have anything you wanted to
Well,
share?
I think that the operative word that really stood out to me is it deprives me. When I'm trying to get in there and trying to micromanage or make decisions for other people, I'm the one who's at that expense. I'm the one who is not allowed to be involved now because I'm squeezing the lifeblood out of that person's creativity. I'm not engaging my teammates with their genius, and that genius then cannot influence me, because that's why I'm attracted to it in the first place. I'm attracted to you guys because you're genius, and I want that affecting me. I want my growth to be better and stronger and faster. But if I get in there and try to control or manipulate or do all that stuff, your genius will never come out, and I will never get the benefit of that.
Yeah, one of the things that struck me is that I heard with regard to the Trump-Putin meeting was that there were 500 people that came along with Putin, and business people and so forth.
500?
500. And,
What the-
this again, I love to point this out because here it's reflected, and that's the true scenario. You've got two figureheads that are up front to simplify the look of the whole thing. This is from a visionary perspective. But the people who are going to use their creative genius to solve these issues is a whole big team. And I think we often, and the media loves to do this, and I think our leadership likes to make it look simple. It's like just this guy and just that guy, when in fact, all they do is set a tone for people to find solutions. And there's energy and power behind that. So to me, that was a good sign that, again, it's easy to think of Putin as being this evil guy, but, there's got to be something there that he's working with, and he's representing a whole group of people, a larger group of people than what we see. So I suppose what I really need to do is just relate this to myself, is that I know I don't like to be micromanaged. Like, I can't stand it if I can't use my creativity, and it's something I have to watch. But on the other hand, I need to be open to other people's suggestions, because I do have these blind spots in maybe how I go about things. So Yeah, I love to delegate that way. I do notice that there are managers and leaders around me who will sometimes want to micromanage me, and sometimes I just have to go along with it, kind of a thing, because that's the opportunity in that particular situation, is to follow procedures really correctly or directly or something. So I don't get too bent out of shape, but I'm most inspired when I get to use my creativity.
Yeah, I guess what comes to me about this reading and about the situation we've been talking about for the last few minutes is the fact that this is just a really great way to connect and to not feel so disconnected. By working in teamwork and working with your personal team of spiritual helpers, that can enable you to really feel more connected and feel more inspired to do what you've come to do, and especially taking those steps. And in looking at, like you said, that Putin had 500 people, and who knows how many Trump had, right? He probably had his dozens and dozens of people too. And all those people are part of the whole plan. They both have come together for a goal of hopefully unifying and hopefully receiving, some ability to stop what's going on over there. But then they have the people behind them that actually also inspire and give that, that helps with the steps and with the clarity of what's going to be occurring over there.
Yeah.
And for the meeting.
Yeah, I agree. The stakes are high.
Mm-hmm.
The stakes are high, and people are dying every day in that situation. So the issue is that, I always end up in the same place. This is the challenge that in this world, because of my state of consciousness, because of the laws of this system that we're in, and the world and the galaxy and all that, or whatever you want to call that out there, I will always end up where I started if I don't change my state of consciousness. I will always be brought back, not because of something out there, because of something inside.
Mm-hmm.
And so one example of that, and this is something I can speak with authority on,
Mm-hmm.
is trying to be perfect rather than seeing the perfection of what's there. Right? And that's my out of balance visionary quality, right? When my part of visionary part goes out of balance, I can try to get perfect the first time of what I'm doing, right? Instead of allowing the process being perfect is allowing the process to happen, and yes, getting dirty, and yes, having failures, and yes, having all of that. And I think that's going back to that connection and disconnection, and relating that to this story that you brought up, how much I can ruin or retard or slow down what's going to happen, the success that's going to happen, by trying to have some kind of perfect thing, rather than let's move forward. That's the goal. Let's move forward and let things unfold, let things happen, even though it's a high stake game, right? It's like if you're playing poker and you got $1 million on the table and it could bankrupt you, it's a high stake game, but it's a game I'm in, whether I like it or not. So I can argue and complain that how did I get myself here? Or, oh my gosh, all the money, or all these people are dying. All of that is true. But in the end, I can only play the hand that I've got. I can only work with what I've got, and I just need to keep moving forward.
Yeah, for me, the words justice and injustice, I keep hearing Spirit share those with me. And so I am going to share a little bit about that. And how I relate to that is when I get caught up in the justice or injustice in my mind about, why I'm here or what's been done in the past, it can keep me from moving towards the solutions more directly. And one of the things I've learned working with Spirit is that when I tune into the positive aspects of life and I let go of that super judgment issues, let go of that. It's great to evaluate, but let go of the judgment. Spirit can give solutions that are like, aha, wow, we all get what we need. kind of a thing. And that's what I love to see. And, you know, some of us
Right.
are ready for that, and some of us want to make our own mistakes.
Right.
And I guess, you know, the key for me is just to feel secure no matter what. You know, so if people around me want to make their mistakes, and, you know, like I'd say, if I was Putin, I wouldn't be doing what he's doing to get what he wants. But his maze is such that he's approached it that way. And I'm sure that he thinks he's justified. But if we want to move to the solutions, you can do it quickly. We can let it go, as you were sharing earlier, let go of that past. But I guess for me, spiritually, it's just important that I let go of that inner judgment, that inner over judgment. Evaluate, hey, this isn't really working for me. This is causing me a lot of pain, but I'm going to let it go. And that is a trick, you know, like, in other words, it takes a bit of practice for me to let go of all that.
Whether you are a brand new or returning fan of this podcast, we appreciate you. We appreciate you listening to the episodes that we create every single week. If you would love to support us by continually creating great content every week, please consider liking, subscribing, and supporting us monthly. You can find the buttons below to do all the above. Cheers to you and moving into our 6th year of sharing through podcasting.
Go.
I was going to ask you, because that's a BFD right there. That whole thing about, if I want a solution with someone or something, I cannot play the games of relying on the past or getting into the moral issues. There is none of that. Obviously, I can make certain things a factor, right?
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. There's a boundary here. Now, how do we move forward with that boundary or whatever it is? But there is no way for a resolution. At least I haven't found a situation like that. And I've, you know, had my ups and downs, whether it's legal things, whether it's relationship things, whether it's my physical body, like that whole thing about, it's an old quote somewhere, I think it's an Asian quote, about the moment I accept my limitations or the limitations, I move beyond them. And part of that is just coming back home to the present and saying, great, what do I need to do now to move forward? Otherwise, I'm going to get caught up. Can you imagine if those people just got into the right and wrong? Here we have the president of this country, the president of the, and all they do is get into the, you know, who struck John? You did this and you did that and F you and the whole thing. How would that work?
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't. So that energy of being here, releasing that stuff, having clear boundaries. Okay, hey, this is what's in it for me. This is clear boundaries. That's the only way to do this. And anyone who wants to fearmonger is just not helping me. It's all the naysayers are not helping me.
Anything you want to share on that one?
Did you want to share something?
I'm good.
Okay. Well, yeah, ditto. I guess it's be aware of the influences in my environment and then in the environment in general that want to get caught up in the moral issues and the justice and just, you know, all that sort of thing, because it's a flag to slow it all down. And I guess it's a difference between a religious perspective and a spiritual perspective, is that in the world of spirit, no one dies. We all have been before, we will be now, and we're going to be, you know, forever. There's that eternal spiritual awareness. And many great, you know, psychics and spiritual messengers have shared those, you know, those thoughts and feelings. And even if you go into the Christian ethic, you know, it's forgiveness, let go, love yourself as your neighbor, you know, let go and move on, so that we can get to the solutions quicker.
And in the pureness, most religions have that. Almost every religion has a version of that. I do want to wrap up with.
Thank you. Wrap up time.
With some an insight from you that says that, you know, that connection and disconnection, and we're using this story as a component of it, but it's so much bigger and so much deeper. Like that whole thing of, if I am disconnecting, what is that doing to me? Right? Like, how is that affecting me and my connection with spirit? How is that affecting me with my connection with my purpose and my destiny and those people that I need to reach that I haven't met yet? Like that, how important that is for you to bring that up, because if I'm playing that game out there where I'll love that one, but I won't love that one. I'll help that one, but I'm not going to help that one. Right? I'm just willing to be of service, which is, we talked about that before. If I'm just willing to be of service, obviously I have my preferences. Obviously, I'm not going to get down in the dirt with, pull people down. Okay, they're going to pull you down. And like the whole crab, remember the story about the crabs that they can open up the box. For those of you who haven't heard this, it's like you have a bunch of crabs in a box and you can open up the top and few or very little crabs will come out, because every time a crab tries to come out of the box, another one will grab them and pull them back down, And said the whole energy of misery loves company. Everybody pulls you back down. We want you to be successful, but don't be too successful. But anyway, that point of how connection and disconnection will really come home to roost if I get caught up in it.
Yeah, for myself, it seems that it's about a feeling.
Yeah.
Of feeling connected, because there are times when I know that I maybe am disconnected from certain situations or people or experiences that I have around me. But it's my feeling. And for myself, because I also have preferences like we all do, I recognize that when I'm neutral about what's going on, neutral about who's saying something versus having something that triggers me or stimulates me, that's been my real game changer for staying connected, is staying neutral and being able to listen and take in and what works for me and maybe doesn't work for me. So that's my real wrap up around disconnect and connect, is staying neutral and having that feeling of I'm connected with my truth for myself, and how do I work with everyone else in their truths?
Yeah. What you stimulated in me by sharing that is just my first priority is to be connected to myself first, get back into what's my feeling, what am I discerning, how I'm going to organize that into action, come back to my feelings, and no matter what's going on around me and what I'm involved with.
So
awesome.
Great episode, right, guys?
Now, if we could just do that 24/7, 365 days a week.
We are human. We hope that you enjoyed this episode of Spiritual Perspectives, Discerning News on feeling more connected, even if sometimes you may feel disconnected. So if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe below, and look forward to come back and sharing some time again soon. We'll see you soon, guys.
To keep the enthusiasm going, please like, subscribe, or comment below. We would love to hear from you.